Welcome back to the Pilates Exchange. I'm your host, Hannah Teucher, and today I am joined by Christian Teucher. Hi, Chris.
Good evening, morning, afternoon. Hi.
We are the podcast where we talk about everything Pilates related, mostly teaching Pilates and studio ownership. So today's topic is going to be a good one because we've really lived it. And Chris picked out this topic because it's a hard one that we're in right now. You want to jump on in, or do you want me to give some framework, Chris?
No, Yeah, I maybe I can start, and then you anyway gonna give your framework in between and your opinion. So I had this idea or the thing in my head that when you start the Pilates studio and you want to grow it, you want to make it bigger, you're going to concentrate on different things, or you have to concentrate on different things, and you have to give tasks away to other people, to companies, to firms. You pay them, so you pay back yourself some time so you can concentrate on expanding, growing the business, and you're not going to get lost in all the little details. Like, for example, you have the most clean studio, but no clients, for example. So we had, Hannah and I, we always had the discussion about when we had, instead of one room, then we had two rooms, and everything was still relatively small. But then I always saw the studio as our home, and we had to I had to take care of it and clean it, and then, but there so many other things are coming away, and it was really hard for me to hire someone to do the cleaning of the cleaning of the studio, because I didn't want to spend the money on that. I think it was not important. And but in the end, looking back, it's just one example. We're gonna come through different examples what makes sense to give away, which tasks which you should continue doing. In the end, I find it really important that, oh, I was like, oh, I don't have to clean today. Oh, I have 1 or 2 hours more. Oh, I can do these things. I can concentrate on stuff and not being, I don't want to say trapped, but kind of stuck into this routine of cleaning the studio. Maybe it's just a little mini example, but that was hard for me to ask for help, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're we're both in the same place on but different responsibilities there. I think it's like there's some things that you're going to have to give up as your business grows. When you start, you have to do everything. If you start in the way that we did, if you took out a huge loan and you have lots of money, or to start off, then maybe you're not in the same situation as we were. So, of course, take this like with the a grain of salt, and each situation is going to be different for sure. But the way that we started from very humble beginnings, we did everything. Like anything that was there, we were taking care of it. So the from the cleaning to the class planning to the marketing to the what else, website, to all the social media. We still do all the social media.
And teaching, of course.
And teaching, and looking at the numbers, doing like all of it. There really was very little that we sourced out at the very beginning, and as we've grown, we had to give up things in order for it to be sustainable, right? What point, Chris, was it for you where you're like, oh my God, we can't do this anymore? Because like we had many discussions and we got to these places at different times, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to the point where I couldn't do it anymore is I'm really sturdy, and we have the mindset of the professional athlete. It's just takes a long time to give up on something, to let go of something. But I think it was like mostly when you had a long day, you're teaching 5, 6 hours. There were some other meetings coming up, and you're just like, okay, now is the time to rest. No, you cannot rest. I have to get this reformers clean. I have to get the dust, and I have to clean the toilet so people and everything feels comfortable. And you also want to have like a certain standard. So you're not going to get people saying, oh, I like the class, but the toilet, there's no toilet paper, there's no dish, no soap, nothing there. So I also didn't want to do that. So I think I was like the point when I was like, okay, I'd like to take a rest before the evening classes or cleaning. So I think that was the game changer.
We actually had a lot of deep discussions about all this because I wanted to give up things a lot sooner than you did. You know, because I feel like you should, this is you meaning everyone that's out there in the teaching and studio ownership, like you should know what your area of genius is and lean into that, and that's where you will make your money in the sustainability of the business, and all the other stuff that go around it needs to be taken care of by someone else.
So in the end, it took me a long time because it's like kind of maybe you sometimes I have the in the back of the head and the back of my head this picture of if you want to make money, if you want to build wealth, and you just put always 5 cents, 2 cents, or something to the side, and you do this kind of you go to the bank, you give them money for a couple of months, and then you get money back. You're not going to build wealth. You have to invest more in really to build wealth, and you have to let go of things in order to work on the stuff which is more important. And cleaning is definitely is not going to make your business bigger. Or sometimes and see it like that, maybe like I said, the studio was our home, the studio was our baby maybe, but after one point the baby is old enough, and then you cannot control it all the time because it needs to go, it needs to leave the nest, and it needs to make experience, and then you maybe cannot, you just going to guide it here and there. And this is one point of like kind of also maybe seeing the business as strong enough that we could afford having someone to clean. I was also something what held me back. I was like saving money, making some money in this, especially in the beginning where everything, no one really knows if it's going to work or not. Of course, you have the idea. So maybe that was also something what held me back of doing these things.
But what we're talking about is much larger than just cleaning. Like it's we're talking about something that's, cleaning is where we first started to delegate out, but that's not the only
No,
thing.
that's just, yeah, sorry for interrupting. It was just an example. It was just the first thing. I just used it.
Yeah.
It's there many other things came after, definitely.
So I think but what you were saying before that I think is important is that there is an emotional aspect of it. There's like an identity that's, we were the hustlers. We could do everything. We do it all on our own, and all this stuff. And there's also this identity of hustle culture of do more, 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 and that is like you actually bottleneck your own business. You can't do everything, and not every aspect of the business is your area of genius. And so that what you're doing is then you're standing in the way of your own growth. Um, so I think that's where we got caught up for a good many years, actually.
And yeah, yeah, I think we also didn't go and visited like universities and studied business for like 10, 20 years. We didn't know everything. We just did
Yeah.
learning by doing, and just did some workshops here, read a lot. You have, I don't know how many, 20, 30, 40, 50 business books at home you
Yeah.
read. So that's also something on top that we just also tested and not really sure. And I think it's also the way the both of us got brought up was saving money, don't waste money. I think there's also playing a little role into that, and using the things you have instead of always buying new things. But for a business is something else. Of course, you're not going to buy 500 laptops you're not going to use. You're going to buy a computer, especially looking back in the pandemic with the iPad and all these things, all this technology was really important, helped us to maintain the business. And
But
we
so like what
had
you're
to
saying, which
redirect it.
I which what I agree with you, Chris, is that like if you think of it like an investment, you're investing in someone else to do these tasks. So no, it's not a laptop, and no, it's not another reformer, but it's investing into your business to be able to take care of
Yeah,
or delegate the things. And I don't think it's just about tasks, right? Like cleaning is a task; it needs to get done, and I mean, we're very thankful for the team of people that take care of our business, but there's other responsibilities that would be better served by someone else doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. For example, maybe we can kind of name some other things we just outsource. Let's call it like that. That's like a little. Oh, I find it overrated word, but outrated,
Well, I
outsourced.
think we can talk about exactly what we're doing, but I think that what the more of a question before we get to that is like, why is delegating stuff so hard?
to
Like
to
I
to
think
let
there's,
go. Yeah,
yeah, because I mean, I think there's like the, there's an emotional part of it, there's identity part of it, there's control issues, there's perfectionism, fear, money, ego, like all of those things go into not letting go.
I think for me it was the control.
Yeah.
That you give something away, and of course then the other thing, if you give tasks away, you're just kind of managing and controlling, checking that things are the way you set them up, the way you kind of taught or told the people what they have to do because you pay them for their service. And it's like also double checking in, are they still doing the same, do they need a little reminder here and there. It's also something, it's not like, okay, you tell someone what to do and this person is going to repeat it like a computer for the next 400 years.
Yeah.
But this is the next step. But I think for me it was control, that like that I wanted to be in charge of everything, to know what's going on, so if there's something not going to be right, so we can immediately kind of change, adapt. So we, because it was our business and it was the only income source we had.
So what I would say, like on next for, for the people that are like, oh, I just want to give up all these things. Like first you have to decide what only you can do. Like what is you as the owner, is your area of genius? What do you love doing? And
What you're good at,
like, yeah, what are you good
what
at?
do you what do you
What
like, what you want to do.
exactly?
Yeah.
What really requires the owner to be doing? What involvement actually creates value for the business? Or are you just doing things because you simply have always done it that way? Like there's
Yeah.
that part of it. Um, there's other things like sometimes it's going to be I think there's a big difference between delegating tasks and delegating responsibility. And if you're delegating responsibility, you need to know which decisions do you need to be keeping as the owner and which is just better handled and faster to give that responsibility making to someone else. And that's where we're at in the business, which we'll come back to in a little bit. um, so like as the business is growing, like where does the owner need to spend their time? Here's something Pilates studio owners keep telling us they didn't expect. Offering Tree actually handles the hard stuff: class level access controls, makeup credit systems with expiry dates, multi location management with different currencies per location, and a support team that walks you through your specific setup, not a generic onboarding video. Pilates Exchange listeners get a free trial plus 50% off their first 3 months. Try it free at offeringtree.com/Pilates Exchange, or book a live demo using the link in the show notes and tell them Pilates Exchange sent you.
Yeah, so it's not like, okay, you have you teach three people what you do, or what you do in the studio, and then you just give them the keys and you just stay at home and go on vacation and they take over your work. This is not what we want. This is not what we mean. We mean that we're still basically owning the business, still doing your part. But I would just want to underline what you said before, which is really important, that you in this position when you want to grow your studio and you want to know what to give up or what to outsource, or to give responsibilities to other people. It's really important, where do you want to go, where do you excel the most, what do you like, and maybe you give the things away you don't like. So it's like also something that you can decide what you want to do for the future. It's like, no, I cannot do it because of this. No, it's like, have you tried it before? So some
Yeah,
people think like always, I have to do it for the rest of my life.
yeah,
This thing, no one else can do it. This is what I'm trying to say.
right. Yeah. I mean, I think also with that is like when you start giving things away to do, there's going to be an element, like you said, of controlling and checking up on stuff, and the they will, that people will make decisions to do it differently. Like no one will do anything exactly like you do it, and someone else might be actually able to do it better. And that's, you want to control, but you also want to, like, they won't do it exactly like you, but different doesn't automatically mean worse. And there's always, like we talk about, front loading your stuff. Like there's always going to be a time and a transition time as you're starting to delegate these responsibilities and tasks where it just feels like it's more work. But that is just a short period of time. In the end, you will buy your time back with them.
Yeah, and I think that's in the end what took me a while to understand is that you invest in the business and you can grow it. You only can make, let's say, money if you invest. If you're
Right.
just saving and saving and saving, you're not going to make any money.
Yeah.
So
So
that's, yeah.
something that we're like still learning right now. Like there's different, you know, um, levels of responsibility that are happening within our business as we are redefining roles. And maybe we could go into that a different time. But with this, there's tasks, there's things that need to get done. And that's one thing that's great to offload sometimes, but more empowering for your employees. We have all employees. We don't have any we don't have any freelance teachers, and we don't have any freelance, in the back end either. Like everyone is an employee with us. And we want to create roles that support them for the long term, that feel empowering, that feel like they can, build a career with us. And if it's just task oriented, like, okay, make this post like this, or do create another sign for the door, that's not enriching at all. So delegating responsibility of, like, this is your area that you will, of the business, of the studio, that you're going to be responsible for. You'll still report back to me, but it's your responsibility to research it, to grow it, to bring me ideas. Um, and I think that's really, that's exciting stuff, because then you have more brain power going into this thing that you're creating.
Yeah, I think so too. It's like what you said, then you also have to find people. Probably everyone knows some people, everyone has some friends and stuff, and maybe they have like a story or something going on. Then you just gotta ask them, or what we did, we people basically came to us and was just like some our path crossed again with the people that are working for us, which was like really interesting. And then we just used the what I always told Hannah is that we have to it would be great to find where the people are excelling the most, what they like, where is their passion. And if you find the people, then they're good in organizing, they're like their Excel sheets or the things, and they write numbers down perfect. Find them and give them that job because this is what they like. But if you want to give these people something, for example, the Excel sheet one, and you give them something they are have to be more creative, maybe they're not going to like it. So then sometimes also that's really interesting when you have people then working through, or you find someone that's all with the cleaning or something, that you then give them something they also enjoy, and not
Yeah.
just telling them you have to do this one and in 2 hours I come back and it has to be like that. If you don't do it, you get fired. You know,
Yeah, I mean, that's not,
this is yeah,
definitely. So, but before you start hiring people or giving out tasks or anything like that, you have to be very clear, what is it that needs to get done, that,
yeah,
creating. So I would even take a few steps back. Like, what do I actually despise doing? That's that, and see if you can outsource that. What takes up a lot of your time that could be easily either automated or someone else can take over it, where it doesn't require your area of genius. You may know how to do it very efficiently, but it doesn't mean that it has to be on your table all the time. So then that's a whole list of things that it's over there. And then maybe another list is like, what do you actually enjoy doing? And what part brings the studio and the business value that only your area of expertise is going to shine through. And then you have like those three different columns, and then from there you can start deciding, okay, this is where I'm going to have to put my money, because you might not be able to hire 10 people at the same time. I know, like, we certainly couldn't, you know. So you have to decide, what is the most important for me to do right now in the growth of my business. And then you devise, you have to have your tasks. What is that person going to be doing? How are they going to be doing it? And then, like you were saying, Chris, once they're in the business and their role has been clearly defined, then as an employee, then you're looking to, like, how can you contribute to grow this person within your business by giving them more responsibilities and finding out what their area of expertise is, because that might bring you quite a lot.
So you mean like basically finding, then you need to know about your business. Where do you need, where do you want to go, and where you're at. Like, for example, if you have two studios in one space, like two rooms, and you have only one teacher, that would be ideal to look for someone who's going to teach a class at the same time when you teach, for example, the math class, and the next room is the reformer or equipment class. There would be kind of a help for you, just in a really simple, easy example for that. So you
So,
look where you're at, like what you're trying to say is you have to find out where you need the most help.
well, yeah, absolutely. So, like, in our case, in the evolution of our business, we went from the space continued to grow, and then eventually we had then, three studio spaces and just you and I teaching. Well, that isn't a very good use of our spaces, right? So we have a free room that could be, contributing back into the business. And at a certain point, we were teaching so many hours. I mean, we were teaching over 30 hours a week, both of us. And that is just not sustainable for the long term. So the first investment that we made, like as an employee, were teachers. So we got some teachers on board. I made some mistakes during that onboarding of teachers. I take ownership of that. It took me a little while to figure out how to be a boss. Um, and then
Yeah, you also
after
learn.
that,
You're also learning. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Well, it's important. Like, I wish at the very beginning, when we were bringing on our team members, our years ago, was like to be much more clear about our mission, vision, values, and communicate with them about how I want things to be done in my studio space. I was somehow just very apologetic in the very beginning. I didn't create clarity. I had to let someone go because of my own inability for clarity. So yeah, like growing pains, that kind of sucks. But if you are, I wasn't clear about what I needed and how I needed that person to show up. That would be what,
Yeah, no,
you know,
yeah. We were also at the point where we're like so tired, and we're just like trying to look for someone to help us to take over some classes while we're on vacation. But we learned our lesson, and we did
yeah.
the
But
things
but
we needed
our
to do.
exactly, our mistakes are other people's, like, listen to the podcast and learn from it. So when you're
Oh,
bringing,
yeah, I know, no.
so it's good to have, it's I'd rather be really open with these mistakes, because that will save someone else a headache in the future. So, like, if your first hire is going to be having someone else teach with you, I would say look at, like, all of our episodes have a lot of different ideas for teaching. So get clear on how you want teaching to happen in your studio. Like, that would be one thing. What do the roles do? What are your expectations for your instructor that comes on? Then after we had, so we had a little bit of change with our instructors, and then we moved over, like, Chris, once you got, we brought someone on to help a little bit more with the back office. And
Hmm.
she's also an excellent teacher, like gold mine of, like, like this wonderful person, Sabrina. Hats off to Sabrina. Where she was an excellent teacher. And then we found out, she's like, oh, I could do all these other things. And I was like, oh my God, we need you. And then, it just came Sabrina came into our lives at the right time. And we just
But
keep
she
on,
said that, yeah. When she came the
expanding
first
on
time,
her
then she
role.
actually,
Mhm.
yeah, she when she came the first time, she said actually no, because she was in a different position in her life, and then she came back, or kind of our paths cross again. So there was sometimes this, yeah. But then you're also saying that you need to see the opportunity when you're in the position, I see that person, I need help over there. She or he is good at that, to also take the decision and have the courage to say, like, I need you. Maybe I cannot pay you that much right now, but I'm willing to in the next couple of months. So before you let go someone who could be a really good person for you.
Yeah. So I mean, like in the case of like what we always try to do is pay the absolute most that we absolutely can, and I know that we're higher than most places, especially with our setup. But then maybe I can't give all the hours that I would like, but I will increase the hours over time, and that has been my promise, and that's how we've been going on, rather than paying too less. And having them work too long. But that's a whole
Yeah,
nother
that
story.
could.
And maybe
Yeah,
we'll
yeah, yeah.
we'll talk about pay and all that in a different.
Yeah, I'm gonna come back to, there could be also, when you think about as a business owner to expand, or you need help because you're overwhelmed, then you still think in the back of your head, oh, I don't have enough money yet to pay a person, or the person right, in order to help me and do my emails, help me with marketing, stuff like that. And then there's some people say, oh, I cannot pay them. I was just going to say 5,000 euros a month, so I cannot hire anyone. So that would be also maybe something where people think out there like, oh, I want to, but I cannot. But sometimes what I would say to that is that it doesn't have to be right now the full-time job. Maybe you can start with a couple of hours with that person to see maybe if he or she wants to do that, just to have a conversation where then you explain the situation. My studio is here like this, and this and this and this, and you're gonna be really open. And if the person really wants to work for you, or you decide to go in the same direction, then it could be also a nice way to start.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I want to be really careful though, Chris, is that in the yoga world and the Pilates world, there's a lot of chronically underpaid people that are living on the dream
Hmm.
of like getting better pay at some
Getting a
time when the
teacher.
studio is more profitable, and that's not what we are at all saying. Like that is not how we operate our business. We say these are our standards of pay, and we make sure that they are high, and we make sure that we can hold up to it. But it comes at decision making of like where do we need help, what do we know, even if it's an investment and it's not going to have an immediate payoff. Who are we committed to bringing on as an employee, knowing that they are going to help grow the business in the long term? Because in the short term, it might feel a little bit uncomfortable. And so,
And
whether or
and
not it's an
yeah.
employee, but it could be freelance, like you were saying before. Um, there's a lot of different ways to invest back in your business and get things off of your to-do
No, I know,
list.
and I know that's absolutely right. I was not in the back of my head that I was talking about talking down teachers. Okay, to teach only for $5 an hour. No, I
Yeah.
just meant, for example, if you need help with marketing and you see all these marketing firms, they're asking you for 15, 200, whatever something money, and you're like, oh, I don't have the budget for that. For example, also with the cleaning firm, a person, you just can ask the person, can you help me 1 hour a week or 2 hours a week? And then you see how it goes, and then you bring them up. That was more my intention. But of course, with the other one, you're absolutely right. With teachers, we should be careful how you negotiate and do all the things, because basically the teachers should get paid relatively good or really well, because this is that they represent the studio
Yeah.
and the people
Yeah,
take the
absolutely.
classes. I mean, if it's not 100% clean, no one's going to look in the corner and say like, "Oh, I see a dust over there." But if someone is like in a class and someone's asking for modification for knee discomfort, and the person's like, I don't know, uh, then you kind of know where you're at. So, but in the end, you're absolutely right. But it was not my intention to negotiate teachers down that they're going to work for less. Just saying.
I know. I was just wanted to jump on it because
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
know what
yeah.
you're saying, but the context was a little bit, yeah. So like when you are delegating responsibilities and delegating tasks, there's always going to be a growing period where mistakes are going to be made. And the way that I look at it, which may be helpful for our listeners, is that there's some mistakes that are absolutely acceptable, and it's a growing part of it. Is like what what is happening that is due to a lack of information that I have not given the team of people that is supposed to know these things. Because a lot of times the mistakes are there because I haven't said anything about it before. I haven't prepared them. They don't have enough information. They don't have enough ownership of the task that needs to be done. Like I haven't given them the permissions to be able to do it. So mistakes aren't necessarily mistakes. It comes back to me. And that's the first question that I'm always asking myself. Like, what could I have done better to prepare this person to excel? And because then I think there's a very big difference between a learning opportunity or a performance problem. And in the beginning, like, especially because we're so nervous, we're like, like this is my first hire and it's not working out. So having that talk with your people, like, okay, we're learning on this together, we're working on it. Sometimes people just need a little bit of time to figure things out, right?
Now, of course, you have expectations. You want because you have done it that way, and you want the person to do it that way. But what you said before is like when you give someone a broom, a cloth, and a bucket, and say like, okay, clean. Okay, what do I have to clean? How long do I have to clean? Where do I have to clean? You have to give the people clear instructions. I want you to do the shelves. That's this one. Make sure that on top of the mirrors or the toilets and stuff like that. Maybe it's just a great example. And cleaning is also a great service. Teaching is the same. So I don't see it as something which has less value, for example.
No, it's
Because I
all
always
really
use
important.
the cleaning stuff. It's really important, and not that it comes across that when I'm used cleaning. When I say cleaning, it's like a underrated or it has no value.
Yeah. Um, but on the flip side of what you just said, yes, there's you as the owner needs to be clear what has to happen, how does it have to happen, how are we delivering on that thing, how do we know that it's a job well done? There's that part of it. But then you have the flip side of that micromanagement will create more mental load for the owner than anything else. And there is a tricky point, like somewhere in between. Like you have to delegate the work, you have to give responsibility to someone else. You can still track it, approve it, but if you have to remind and think and do every single detail, then you
Mm.
really haven't delegated at all. You're just paying someone to do the same thing that you're doing in your brain anyways. Like you need to be able to, once that work has been handed off, you need to be able to shut your brain off and say, okay, it's done. Yeah, because then you're going to start feeling like managing someone else's bad work when you could just be doing
And,
it yourself. Like
and
that's not
and
what you want.
yeah, and then you're doing the job anyway of your employee, just always checking and making sure that sometimes there can be more work. Actually, you
Yeah.
wanted to have some help, and then you kind of let go of this control fear some people might have. And then yeah, that would be the disadvantage of hiring, but maybe that's a different topic.
So like what I yeah, that so that would be, well, and the disadvantage of hiring, like that's, you didn't do the right. So if you're at that place and you're having to micromanage and you're doing that, either you have not clearly defined what the role is that you want filled. There's that, or you didn't do the right hire. I think it's one of
Mm.
those two things, or three.
Hmm.
You need to let go, let go.
Yeah,
So I think
that's yeah.
a strong team should be more capable over time because you're building people. You're not just filling roles. So I think we should always be thinking about, like in our case, our employees. How can we help them become better decision makers? Like how do we help them do their jobs even better? And that is where like we're learning a lot right now is like we have an excellent team and we're so excited like to take some next steps that we're going to be growing in our business, and our team has excellent ideas and that they're coming to us with, and it's really fun when when they start to come back with proposed solutions, not just problems. Like this isn't working, this one, then it's like, oh yeah, like we're all on this leadership team together. That's great.
Hmm. Yes.
Yeah. That takes time
Yeah.
though. That's what we're working on.
Yeah. I think we had like quite a lot of ideas, hopefully for our listeners. Maybe we made it easier to help them
So
finding their way.
then let me sum it up what I think. There's going to be a point where you need to be thinking like, what are you building? Um, And if the business cannot function, if the studio can't function without you, you've just created a job for yourself, not necessarily like a sustainable organization. Ideally, you should be able to step out of your business. This is talking, from our situation, our personal situation that Chris has gone through, which we really put it on the test. Which we don't want you to have like a medical situation, but like what happens when you go on vacation, or what happens when you're sick? Can the studio operate well without you for a week or a month? And you start looking at those tasks that are left open, and see like what needs to get done, who else can do it, and like looking at the big picture, because you can't do everything all the time and that be a sustainable business for you.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
All right. So then, Chris, any last words before I close this off?
I left all my wisdom out. Nothing left.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to the Pilates Exchange. We are wishing you a wonderful week of happy teaching. We'll be with you next week. If you would like to support us and the podcast, leave us a review. That would be a great way. That's a no cost way to support us. Also, we love hearing from you, so reach out on email or social media. And the last way, if you are in a studio owner, I'm assuming you are if you've gotten this far in the episode, and you're looking for new software, check out our season sponsor, Offering Tree. They are a great group of people, a great software. Check them out, do a demo. Other than that, we will see you next week, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.